Some say that although we are truly convinced that existence has a reliable and self-sufficient foundation that we call God, why should we believe that God still exists, still intervenes in everything, and that God is the administrator of all worldly affairs? Do you know why this question arises for such people? The reason is that they do not pay attention to the point we mentioned regarding the main proof of God's existence. That is, they imagine that we deduce God's existence through the beings we see in the world and consider the various beings we deal with as proof of God's existence. But if you remember, in previous discussions, we explained that the most important proof of God's existence is that when we carefully observe the totality of existence, we realize that this whole is completely self-sufficient and has no dependency on anything other than itself. And through this, we become certain that a perfect and self-sufficient administration governs all existence, which we have named God. Therefore, every being we see is a sign of that infinite existence and that self-sufficient God on whom everything depends. Not that these beings are proof of the existence of that God. If we pay attention to this point, there will fundamentally be no room left for such a question. That is, when we compare, we say it is possible that an architect who built a building may disappear, but the building still remains. Or regarding an industrial product, someone might say that the one who created and produced it has disappeared, but that product still exists. These are in situations where we look at a particular being and consider it proof of the existence of another being. But what we discovered in the proofs of God's existence was that the self-sufficiency of existence and the self-sufficiency of the entire set of beings led us to the conclusion that this set does not depend on anything other than itself, and that absolute perfection and infinite administration and absolute knowledge and power rule in existence. Of course, since none of the beings we deal with resemble God, and because everything we know is all dependent and needy, and we spoke of a God who is absolutely self-sufficient, we find nothing that resembles him, so that through this resemblance we could somewhat know that which we have named God. Therefore, naturally, God will remain indefinite and unknown to us, and we can never know the quality and essence of God, because we have no way to know him. But on the other hand, when we pay attention to the clearest and most certain truth we deal with, we see that there is no doubt in the existence of infinite perfection, and we understand that the principle of God's existence is the most certain and clearest thing we know. Of course, his characteristics are not clear to us, and the perfections and attributes he has are vague and unknown to us. Just as God's unity also cannot be compared with the ones and numbers we know. When we say God is one, it doesn't mean he is one against two. Rather, since we understood that this reality is infinite and leaves no room for anything other than itself, we say he is unique, and this differs from being one in numbers.